Big shout out to everyone watching. It's Jrod on point. Very happy to be here. Good morning, everyone. We are back. How everyone doing this beautiful morning? Thank you for being here. Very appreciate it. If your favorite brother, your mother's favorite son, the black sheep, happy Saturday. Very happy Saturday. Hopefully everybody having a great time. Big shout out to Amy Conway, boss lady in the chat. Thank you so much. Very appreciate it. Have you here today. As always, thank you so much. I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic. I'm very happy, very excited to hear that Amy Conway feel way better. First day without pain. Big shout out. Round of applause. Round of applause. Microphone check 1 2 1 2. Thank you so much. Very appreciated. Big shout out when they hit different when we need to shout out Katie. Big shout out to Katie. Thank you for being here. Very appreciated. She said, "What's going on, gang? What up?" Hold on, Katie. Katie said, "What's going on, gang? What up?" Yeah. Big shout out to Katie. Thank you for being here. Very so much appreciated. Big shout out to our members. Big shout out to our moderators. Big shout out to our subscribers. Today we are going to talk about a great topic. It came through my desk and I had to pay attention to it. Cause in this one particular topic, if you ask me, Lana Marie is the only one talking about it. By the way, big shout out to Lana Marie. Go and subscribe to her. Great content creator. Kudos to her. Great content, great presentations. Please make sure to subscribe to Lana Marie. She has great content. This is her channel. Make sure that everyone go and subscribe to Lana Marie. She got great content. We're gonna watch. I think we're gonna watch 2 videos real quick. I don't know. It depends. I really wanna check 2 videos of her. We're gonna close it out with the main topic. Captain Tyson Barrett was the lead detective and replaced by Brett Payne. I need the community to have an opinion about this. We need to talk about this though. Today we're talking about the Idaho full Bryan Kohberger case. Captain Tyson Barrett was the lead detective in the Idaho full Bryan Kohberger case way before Bryan Kohberger came to their attention. And then somehow, apparently, out of nowhere, out of the left field, he gets replaced by Brett Payne. I don't know some of y'all if y'all remember. I don't know some of y'all if y'all remember in the conversation in the very beginning of this case when no, I don't think it's because the military background, because you see Captain Tyson Barrett, he had way more years of experience as a detective. He was like a high rank officer, well versed, well experienced. For what we see, he really don't have nothing bad on his background, but we could see that he was well connected with the University of Idaho, and allegations are that this one particular officer, Captain Tyson Barrett, had a son, either a son or a daughter. Is not very clear, but I think the allegations is a son. And he's like a liaison between Moscow PD and the University of Idaho, which he's actually part of the alumni, and he actually replaced Chief Fry, because Chief Fry was the liaison. There's a lot of information coming up. Chief Fry was the liaison between the University of Idaho and Moscow PD before he became the chief of police. So then Captain Tyson Barrett replaced him as a liaison between the university and Moscow PD. Amy Conway say, buenas noches. How you doing, Amy Conway? Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. And also, by the way, Amy Conway, advice and suggest to all of you to please make sure to click like, subscribe, and share the content. Please make sure of that. Put some DNA on that like button. We promise, we guarantee that we will not utilize IGG techniques against you. Big shout out. So yeah, Katie said, so it wasn't Payne. No, it wasn't Payne. You see, I will get to that. We need to talk about this. Sincerely, we need to talk about this. I don't know how the community in true crime, including myself, we haven't talked about this a little bit more in deep, because you see, I don't know if a lot of y'all remember that back in the days when we was talking about this in the very beginning. I don't know if y'all remember that they were talking about the reason why they waited so long to get inside of the house because they was waiting for Brett Payne, Chief Fry, and the main detective to get there. They never mentioned anything they don't mention anything about Captain Tyson Barrett on the scope of international media. And we're talking about international news media outlets, the reach, the whole nation of United States of America, and also the world. We're talking about that this information technically was kept within. It was kept within, let's say, the local Idaho news media outlets. I would like to say that in reality, not a lot of people paid attention to Forrest as the written statements from Moscow PD, that it seems that it shows Captain Tyson Barrett, Captain Tyson Barrett as the lead investigator. That's very, very interesting to me. You see, because we need to think about going back to the very beginning. It was really far as the communication between, Moscow PD and the public, even though it was really not much in the beginning. And if you realize, they started coming out with press releases, and they did some press conference, and that was what, like the 16th. It was the first one. So it was like a couple of days, and in reality, I don't get why the same day they couldn't come up with a presentation for the public. On every case, it don't matter how big or small it is, officers always come forward and have some kind of conversation with the community to put the community in at ease. Because at that moment, the only people that could actually calm the community down. Big shout out to Lily Moon. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Big shout out to Lily Moon. Welcome to the mods. Thank you for the consistency. Big shout out to Lily Moon. Thank you so much. Big shout outs. But the only people that it could actually calm the community down in the middle of a disaster or in the middle of calamity, in the middle of confusion, is law enforcement. Ladies and gents, I gotta say today it'll be a good topic. Today is very interesting, and I really want the community, our community, to have a conversation about this, because I think, in my opinion, that this is pretty relevant, and we should pay a little bit of more attention to this case. If we thought that we was paying attention in detail and attention to this case, I would recommend to myself, which I started doing it, I advise and suggest to everyone in the true crime community to pay attention to what's going on with this case very close. Because there's a lot of things. As for example, we will gonna talk about it, because I have to start the show. With some relevant stuff, because you see, all right, it's okay to have an opinion, it's okay to have an understanding about something, but when you see that a situation or a case, whatever issue you have in hand, is a very fluid, it's a very fluid situation, that it might be like it might be seen as a roller coaster. Because if you ask me, in my personal opinion, it's a lot of cases in YouTube true crime right now as we speak. They deserve our attention. But me and my personal, I'm only one person now. I could only focus so much in the things that matter the most to me. And in this case, what matters to me right now as we speak the most is the Kiely Rodni case and the Idaho 4. That's the cases that it catch my interest. And in both cases, we have in very alarming details that we should pay attention to, because if we are gonna spread, again, not just me as a content creator, but also as a community, we should speak the right things. We should, when we talk about something that is very concerning, that is something that, again, people find there is some details about the case that are very alarming, very concerning. So you see, in my opinion, I feel that we should actually pay attention accordingly. That's called going back to, instead of talk about it, be about it. I mean, we could do both. But in the same way we talk about it, we should be about it. And in the way that we go about it is paying attention to detail. I totally agree, Amy. Is alarming. Because if you ask me though, this could happen to anyone. And we're talking about this could happen to me and you. This could be this could literally happen to anyone that gets chosen to go through something like this, and it's not fair. It's not fair that those they're supposed to look after our rights and supposed to look after our justice and supposed to look after our security and our well-being is the same people that when the time is right, or in this case, when the time is wrong, they will pinch you in the pickle that you might not be able to get out of. Because here's the thing. Big shout out to Katie. She said totally agree. I'm gonna speed up the chat. Amy Khan was saying, my opinion, Payne was given to the position to benefit their needs and intentions. Yes, he was a puppet. I mean, think about it. Going back to that. Moscow PD being in such a cahoot and having so much businesses and making this much of money out of the University of Idaho, they were never supposed FBI. If you're requesting help from the FBI like you did, so that means literally equal as you understand. You understand because if you was, you wouldn't need the help of no one. Can we all agree in the chat? Why this case was handled by Moscow PD and it was not handled by the state police? Why this case was not handled by the sheriff? Why this case did not got escalated to the FBI when the FBI has such a big, amazing leadership in this case? Ladies in the chat, let's keep something clear. We have watched the clips that I'm coming on my channel. I made it 8 minutes, so no one had an excuse to say, oh, I didn't see it because it was too long. So guess what? I made it 8 minutes, so no one has an excuse to say, like, I didn't watch it. And again, it seems that y'all been watching and I appreciate the support. But if y'all pay attention to those 8-minute videos, 8 minutes clips on the latest two, we could see Maury throwing the dirt, throwing responsibilities to his fellow federal co-workers. Even Brett Payne. It seems that Maury, by the time, I'm a call it to, let's get to the substance. Maury official cast training was in October 2023. What that means? Oh, we're gonna go further than that. We're gonna go further than that. We're gonna go further than that. He was not supposed to be able to do no type of cast, nothing before October 2023. You know what? Maury only has 16 hours of training to get certified to do casts, but through Moscow PD. 16 hours, ladies and gentlemen. 16 hours of experience on cast cell phone data. Yeah, he had a training in 2019, but it was not related with the cast. It was related with something about towers and networks and providers, which is a whole different type of training. His official cast training was in October 2023. Let that sink in for a second, ladies. Just let that sink in for a second. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. We will get to that. Katie says 16 hours. LOL. Oh my God. I mean, I want people to just let that sink in. October 2023. The murders happened. The murders happened November 2022. Bryan Kohberger got arrested before the end of the year. But Maury got trained for cast in October 2023. And Maury was the one that made and created the cast report for the secret grand indictment. It seems that he really didn't do nothing, and he also was missing materials. Because it seemed that those materials, he found those materials a year and a half later. That he already made a secret grand indictment report with a cast. Oh yeah, no, we we got those juicy deets today. Because it seems that they've been juicy for a long time, but again, even myself, I guess I was so entertained on many other information. Then now, listening to these findings, Okay, they said that they cannot arrest Bryan Kohberger just with the IgG, right? Let me speed up the chat real quick, though. In my opinion, I have cops in my family, no cop with 2 years of experience because like detective, it takes years. Yeah, you see, that's you hit it right on the nail. Amy, you hit it right on the nail. Like if you have already a lead detective, which it seems that at the moment of taking custody of 1122 Queens Road, it seems that Captain Tyson Barrett was the person in charge of the 48-hour investigation. Let's get that clear. Captain Tyson Barrett is the man in charge of the first 48 hours investigation, which, if you ask me, are the most important hours of any criminal investigation. Am I correct? And yes, it's a little odd, Katie. Yes, it's a little odd. And Fry, yes, he's sneaky though. He got out of it quick. He didn't wait it. He was, I'm out. Oh, by the way, Captain Tyson Barrett, he retired too. Not too long after that. But people retire, right? People work years and years and years to retire, right? What a coincidence that you decide to retire. You decide to retire. You decide to retire before the ending and the conclusion and the resolution of the biggest case ever was on your hands. Can anyone make that make sense? Because it does not make sense for no one's career to retire before the end and conclusion of the biggest case ever that you ever had the opportunity to take care of. A case that it could make or break careers. Obviously, Chief Fry knew. Obviously, Captain Tyson Barrett knew that this case, as it stands, as it was standing at the time that they decided to retire, they knew this case stunk. Chief Fry and Captain Berrett did not see nothing good about staying in the force before this biggest case that they ever had the opportunity to take care of gets resolved. They did not give a fuck about the victims. Now you explain that to me. Huh? Yeah, November 16 was the first press release. And before the autopsies, the 17th, yes. Yeah, at the time they make that, they did not know nothing. They were talking about forensic details that they not even know. They did not even knew no type of forensic details. November 16 on that first press conference, they were talking about forensic details that they not even knew about. Because the forensic report was not even done yet. but they were talking about forensic shit. Make that make sense yourself. I'm only the messenger. Lily Moon pop up and she left. In and out. Send the big shout outs. And ow. Yeah. Big shout out to Lily Moon. Thank you so much for passing by. Yeah, the PA presser. Yeah, we seen that though. Yeah, they didn't have no access to affidavits. Yeah, they listen. Everything that Pennsylvania did, they did it blindly. This is the most illegal shit ever in the history of law enforcement. Just think about it for a second. It's like Pennsylvania believe anything Idaho said. They did not say nothing until Bryan Kohberger got to Idaho. By then, everything is late. By then, when PA revised the paperwork, after Bryan Kohberger is already there, they know already he's trapped. Because there's nothing they could do. They're going to be like, uh-oh, we fucked up. Because Pennsylvania know that with what Moscow had the day before the arrest, they didn't have nothing. When the alleged IgG shit came back after all that magical shit they did, then they had something. Because they knew the warrant, it would sustain with nothing. In reality, by the time Brett Payne got to Pennsylvania, he was there illegally. Not illegally far as ass, but he didn't have no legal reason to be in Pennsylvania. He had warrant for fugitive of the law for a person that has not committed no crime at that one particular moment that the warrant came out. They don't have no proof that this man has committed nothing. Because they could have not got the warrant for arrest in Moscow with the IgG by himself. So now we're going to go back to Maury and the October 23 training of 16 hours. Huh? No, listen, today I'm going to hit you with the thunder. Today I'm going to hit you with the thunder. I might be the biggest Thundercat you ever seen in your life. Hopefully y'all seen the cartoons back in the day. Thunder, thunder, Thundercat. Oh! Hopefully y'all seen those cartoons. They was pretty cool. They were pretty dope. Hopefully you had the chance to see the Thundercats back in the days. But if you haven't, you can see him here. Because I might be one of them. I don't know. I might have some kind of superpower to read between the lines so I could give you the message. Ladies and gentlemen, who made the cash report to get the warrant for fugitive of the law? Because without a cash report, none of that shit would have happened. I understand that they have all this on gag order, but I'm not bound. I'm not bound to the gag order. Fabricated everything on my opinion. They had no cash even in March 31st. Came even my point. Thank you, Amy. Just think about it for a second. If the FBI tell Moscow PD you can't use these by itself to go and arrest Bryan Kohberger, what else Moscow PD utilized to make this arrest legal? Just let that sink in for a second, ladies. Let that sink in for a second. If the FBI tell Moscow PD you cannot use just the IGG by itself to do not a fucking thing against Bryan Kohberger, just think about it for a second. This advice is well known in the Idaho 4 Bryan Kohberger case for a long time. The FBI told Moscow PD you cannot use the IGG by itself. You have to complement the IGG with something else. And at that moment, you can't even use at that moment you cannot even use, even though it's a PCA that it has the Dylan Mortensen there and some Dylan Mortensen statements and whatnot. It's a PCA, right? That is irrelevant right now, right? But without a PCA, none of that shit would have happened, right? Without the PCA, without the alleged IGG work, the tip, right, from the FBI, right? And what else? What else for them to get a warrant? Because they can't even use Dylan Mortensen. They know that. They cannot bring Dylan Mortensen to court to testify about not a fucking thing, because Dylan Mortensen don't want to be part of none of this shit. At this day today, Dylan Mortensen do not want to testify in court, not for the state, not for the defense. And that there is a fact. And yes, the first 48, agree, is the most critical hours in any criminal investigation. Captain Tyson Barrett was in charge of that 48 hours investigation. Why he ain't here at this day today? Yeah, it was a Brett Payne around since day one doing the favors. Literally being the assistant for Captain Tyson Barrett. I understand that. I get that. But Captain Tyson Barrett was the man in charge of the first 48-hour investigation. Why and Taylor have not brought him to testify yet? Is he the Captain Tyson Barrett? Is he the Captain Tyson Barrett, the missing link on the Idaho 4 Bryan Kohberger case? Is it the Captain Tyson Barrett, ladies and gentlemen, in the chat? Is it the Captain Tyson Barrett is the missing link in the Idaho 4 Bryan Kohberger case to be this case to where he's at this day to day? And I gotta say, for us to be talking about this today, big shout out to Lana. I gotta say it again, big shout out to Lana. Because Lana Marie was the one that put the work. Big shout out to Lana Marie. Yep. She's the one that put the work. Again, I wanna bring her to stage. Her page right here. Please make sure everyone go and subscribe to Lana Marie. Because we wouldn't be talking about this today if it wasn't because her homework caught my attention. Her homework caught my attention. And we're going to be sharing in a little bit. We're going to be sharing in a little bit about her information. But yes, ladies, right now, we're developing a whole angle that if you ask me, if it wasn't for Lana Marie, we wouldn't be talking about it. Before we go a little too far into that, let's go back to Maury. Let's go back to Maury. If Maury, oh, you're good, Katie, no problem. If Maury was not trained to do any type of cast, because the training that he had at that moment did not certify him to do any type of cast for any type of secret grand indictment, how come just, you know what, forget that. I'm gonna tease the fuck out of you tonight. I am because this shit right here, if you ask me, is one of the best topics that we could ever talk about. Because it's a lot of things that we need to discuss. Welcome back, Katie. It's a lot of things that we need to discuss in this case. One second, ladies and gents. 1 second, please. Let me take a look at something real quick here. This one here is gonna really mess y'all up, because I'm not really bring to the table something that it might be the difference maker. Because that's what we try to do here in this show. We try to give you an angle that it be a difference maker. Okay, let me get that thought together. Because I want to give you the potency about this. What y'all ladies think in the chat? This might be what is gonna break this case wide open outside of the gag order. And you know what? I'm gonna tell you what though. You can tell KY use it. Yeah, yeah. That's my other point. You cannot tell. You cannot tell on the forensic report. You know what I mean? They cannot tell. They need experts. Like who was like just first and foremost who they have as an expert on wounds. Who's their experts in forensic wounds, which at this day today, and I understand this is in the gag order, but I'm not bound to no gag order. I could care less. I only care about the truth. At this day today, they still don't have an expert to talk about that. So who was the expert? If you don't have that expert right now within the state, who's that expert that says that a K-bar was the weapon utilized to kill all 4 victims? Did he or she retire? Because it seems the same expert that said that they were all 4 killed with a K-bar. It seems that this person is either dead or retired. Because he's nowhere to be found within the state experts. Oh, we're going to talk about it. We are going to talk about it. Just going back to the warrant for arrest of fugitive arrest, right? How they got even permission to go out of state to go and get anybody? Because at that moment you don't have nothing. How any judge, and again we're gonna go back to if the FBI tells you tell you that you won't be able to do shit with the IGG by itself, and you have to complement the IGG with something else, and you cannot use Dylan Mortensen for shit, what else could they even use to convince the magistrate that they need this warrant? Because this warrant will give them permission to go to Pennsylvania and get what they need. Because at this moment, you see, you don't have nothing. But you need this warrant to go to Pennsylvania to fish for DNA, because right now you don't have nothing, but you need this warrant to go to Pennsylvania to fish for DNA, because at that one particular moment of the you won that warrant against Bryan Kohberger, at that one particular moment, you don't have shit. How do you got that warrant? With what? I could only think about only one little thingy. Only one little thingy that they could do to convince the magistrate to get this search warrant. And you know, guess what? The fuck it is. I'm gonna let the chat say it for me. If at the moment that warrant to go and get Bryan Kohberger in Pennsylvania, actually you didn't went to get Bryan Kohberger, you went to fish for DNA. If you have a warrant for a fugitive of the law, that means that you have what you need at that moment to arrest this person. That means that you get to that residence, you pinpoint this person, you arrest them. You don't have to sit there and wait for nothing. You don't have to sit there and wait for nothing for you to be sneaky and fish DNA to cook Bryan Kohberger. I believe that a lot of people don't understand how the law actually works. It baffles me. It does baffle me, but I want the chat to tell me if you at that moment that for you to get a warrant for a fugitive of the law, you cannot use the IGG by itself, because at that moment that tip don't mean shit. You need something else to stand on it for the magistrate to give you a permission for. They need something else, and you cannot use the IGG, and you cannot use Dylan Mortensen, because she's not gonna testify on not one fucking thing. What you think they did and they used to actually convince the magistrate for them to give him the warrant for them then get the DNA? I just want the chat to see if the chat have it for me though. I'm gonna give it to you anyway, but I want to see if the chat come out with it. And it hit different. When I tell you it's gonna fuck y'all up. And yeah, that's my point. Where's Barrett report? Where's Barrett reports? We need all Barrett's reports, all of them. If Barrett reports, if Barrett knew the real killer, the Barrett was leading toward the real killers and he got replaced. The Barrett, just because he was so connected and so plugged in with the Greek life and the University of Idaho, he got to know who was the real killers, and he wanted to get them. And when he wanted to get them, Moscow PD took him off the case. Is that what it is? What you think? The Captain Tyson Barrett knew who was the killers, and someone, Chief Fry in this case, took him off the case. Don't forget, Chief Fry was the liaison with Moscow PD and the University of Idaho way before Captain Tyson Barrett. Let that sink in for a second. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have only a IGG tip that you cannot use to get a warrant, and you cannot use Dylan Mortensen for shit because she's not going to testify for nothing, right? You know, the only other thing that they could use to go have the excuse to go and get Bryan Kohberger? His cell phone data. The same cell phone data that they said that they didn't have at that moment. And I understand this is on a gag order. I get it. I get it. But my job is to tell you what the fuck it is. If you can use the IGG and you can use Dylan Mortensen, which at this moment is everything that you have, and you can use it, what other thingy the FBI could do to help Moscow PD to get a warrant for a fugitive of the law when you don't have nothing? Is show the magistrate and the court that you have here cell phone data that tells you that Bryan Kohberger could be that person that they're looking for, because his cell phone data that they say that they did not have back then is the only thing, ladies and gentlemen, is the only thing, because they don't have nothing else. That's how they went to Pennsylvania, because the cell phone records that they say that they did not have, but they did, because without them they couldn't have no judge to sign on that warrant for a fugitive from the law, for them to have an excuse to go to Pennsylvania to fish for DNA. For them only then convince the magistrate that they were right all along. It was the only way. It was the only way. And they kept that on the wraps. So if Maury did not do that cast draft, who did it? Because Maury did the one for the secret grand indictment. Who did the cast? Who did the first draft report? Balance. Maury did not want to testify of knowing who did the draft in the very beginning. That was the draft utilized to complement the IGG and the alleged testimony of a witness, because that's just the cherry on top. They don't need at that moment having the cell phone data. They really don't need Dylan Mortensen at that moment. Yeah, tampering with evidence and all that stuff, Amy. Fabricating evidence, which is worse, and then hiding the little tricky, because the FBI did it. Then hiding the dirty deeds because the FBI did it. Moscow PD couldn't go to Pennsylvania do a fucking thing without them lying to the magistrate with cell phone data. And then also fabricate witnesses. You try to make Dylan Mortensen a witness when she don't even want to be a witness. You put in words in her mouth that she had even said. You put Dylan Mortensen on a PCA that she didn't want it to be part of, because she's not willing to testify what you're saying she's testifying into. And it's a report that confirms what we're talking about. Whatever she's telling you, she don't know nothing. She don't even know if whatever that happened that night was even real. She's literally telling you that she just don't want to be part of it. She's literally telling you as an officer to leave her the fuck alone. You see, Amy, on that lady officer, when she ran his insurance, he has a type of insurance that is for law enforcement officers, and his phone number pop up when they run his insurance. His phone number is gonna pop up, and it seems that I think it was like before or after that he got stopped again, and the officer asking for his phone number. He, if I'm not mistaken, he denied it. So if they using that one particular stop, just like they say, to identify the vehicle, why they not using the one with the lady officer when she runs his insurance, which that's when they actually get his cell phone number. Ellie changed the timeline. Star Wars video, BKWSU apartment. Yes, the whole timeline is all messed up. Yeah. It has to be a video somewhere though. You know what I mean? It's very I mean, these days cameras everywhere. It's like I said, like license plate readers and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like it don't matter if you're out in the country. I believe there is some kind of technology on the road that it will pinpoint if a vehicle went by there, because it is vehicle counters, that it tells you how many vehicles went by that road every day. So it's like every road has a sensor in the ground that it counts, which I'm aware of this, that it counts every vehicle that go by it. So they might as well have to have some kind of information out of that. You know what I mean? Like is technology at this day today, even, and again, the vehicle, Bryan Kohberger's vehicle, is very important and very key in this investigation. Meanwhile, every expert was saying that Bryan Kohberger's vehicle, it was a walking DNA. By the time the report of his vehicle comes out, and it's no trace of DNA, no nothing, not even trace of a particular cleaning to get rid of DNA. Because believe me, these experts, these forensics experts, if you utilize some kind of chemicals to get rid of DNA, those chemicals will show up in their report. And it will show in the same way it show in the house. Somehow the crime scene was tempered somehow. And how we know that the scene was tempered? Because the detective had to use a black light with special liquid to look at the floor, and they found a bloody shoe print right around in front of Dylan Mortensen's room, right around the front door of Dylan Mortensen's room. So for the detective to have to use the special liquid and black light, that means that someone cleaned the floor. That means that someone cleaned the floor between rooms to disturb the foot trace. Maury did not want it to tell the court who make the first draft, because remember, what by the time Maury's putting together a draft for the secret grand indictment, he was not even trained accordingly to even do that. I repeat, by the time Maury created the secret grand indictment cast report, that he actually deleted how he got to those conclusions. At the time Maury created a cache cell phone data for the secret grand indictment. Maury was not certified to do so because his certification officially was with 16 hours, October 2023. The secret grand indictment came out May 16, 2023. I repeat, the secret grand indictment came out in May 16, 2023. Maury got certified to do so October 2023. This case is over, ladies and gentlemen. This case is over. These men did not even have the training to create a cash report, and he got caught with his pants down in court. On our late, I want y'all to watch the latest 2 videos of the court hearings. Watch the latest 2 videos. When Ann Taylor tell Maury that's when you actually got your cash report certification, he diverted the attention to that both times that he got trained, it was by certified cast members. But his first training in 2019, it was not his cast certification. It was not his cast certification. It was not. He got certified after he created a cash report, which he's not licensed to. He's not certified to. He created a cash report that he's not even allowed to do so. This case is over, ladies and gentlemen. Maury got certified with 16 hours of training after he already created a secret grand indictment cash report that he's not even entitled to do so. The secret grand indictment came out May 16, and he was certified to do so October 23, 2023, October 2023. A whole summer went by. We now in the fall. A whole summer went all the way through. And now we in the fall. And that's when these men get certified to do a cash report when he already made one to keep a man locked up. This case is over. And then they filed the charges in December 2022. And that's exactly around the time that Brett Payne take over the case. If you ask me, Captain Tyson Barrett wanted out because he's seen, first and foremost, I believe that he knew who could be the killers. And also I believe that he saw the dirt that Moscow PD was about to do with the FBI, and he didn't want to take no part on that shit. I believe that Captain Tyson Barrett thought like, no. I'm not going to put years on the force. I'm not going to put my name and my years and my experience under this case. This case is not going to help my career. Chief Fry and Brett Payne aboard the ship. Chief Fry and Captain Barrett didn't see nothing good with staying in the force until this case get any resolution, because they knew it would not help their career in no way, no how. At all. Captain Tyson Barrett big shout out to Tanel Ray. Thank you for being here. Captain Tyson Barrett either won it out or they kick him out. But all the way up to December 2022, Captain Tyson Barrett was the one on charge. And I repeat, Brett Payne took over this case when Moscow PD went after Bryan Kohberger. That's the last day that Captain Tyson Barrett took care of this case. The day that they decided to go after Bryan Kohberger, that was the same day that Captain Tyson Barrett got out the case. And I do not believe in coincidences at all. But big shout out to everyone in the chat. It's Jrod on Point. You're watching On Point True Crime. We're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to it. Big shout out to Lana Marie. We're gonna get to it. Big shout out to Lana Marie. Make sure everyone go and subscribe to Lana Marie. Great content creator. Very digestible. It seems that she actually cares about this case. There's a lot of content creators out there that, if you ask me, is really no reason why to watch them. But again, it's a taste for every color and for every flavor. And YouTube had all is a candy shop. So I want to send a big shout out to Lana Marie. She did the homework that we're talking about today. Please make sure everyone go and subscribe to her. Okay. Make sure everyone go and subscribe to Lana Marie. The link is on the chat. Big shout out to Tanel Ray. Thank you for being here. Big shout out to Katie. Big shout out to the members and moderators. And let's make sure that everything is good here so we could share the content. Big shout out to everyone in the chat. I don't want no hiccups when we playing. Want to make sure this is gonna be good. I do not want no hiccups today. Big shout out to everyone watching. It's Jrod on Point. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and share the content. Big shout out to Lana Marie. We're gonna play her content. Please make sure y'all go and subscribe to her show. We're gonna be talking about Captain Tyson Barrett was the lead detective. Actually, you know what though? I wanted to play this other video, but you know what? Let's just leave it with what we at about Captain Tyson Barrett. And probably some other time we could come back and watch probably another video of her and talk about this other topic that I want to talk about. But for now, let's just talk about Captain Tyson Barrett was the lead detective. Big shout out to Lana Marie. Thank you so much for the homework. And let's proceed. Big shout out.
Hey guys. For the past couple of weeks, I have been researching the change in the lead detective in the Idaho 4 case. The case agent in the Idaho versus Bryan Kohberger case was Brett Payne. This has been known for quite a while. We learned this a long time ago. But Brett Payne wasn't the first lead detective assigned to this case. So in this video, we're going to try to piece together the timeline. When well as who the other guy was, the original lead detective, and what happened to him. Some things that I am going to talk about here may not be new to you if you've been following this case, but I haven't seen many people talking about this. I think it's quite an interesting topic, worth diving into, and it might also explain a couple of things. So that's what we're doing today. Just a disclaimer, everything I say in this video is my opinion only. Everything I say is alleged. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss any updates in the Idaho 4 versus Bryan Kohberger case. We're going to be following the trial and everything. But for now, let's dive right in. Corporal Brett Payne is quite a familiar figure to everyone who has been following this case. We know him as the one who wrote the affidavit, which then led to the arrest of Bryan Kohberger, and in his appearances at court in various hearings, for homicides. But initially, though apparently for a very short time only, the lead detective on this case was Tyson Barrett, Captain Tyson Barrett to be more specific. Who is he? Why was he replaced? And when did Payne replace him? I'll tell you right away, I did not find all the answers to all the questions, but I did my best, and here is what I found. All the sources will be linked in the description box, as always. In the beginning, around November 13th, 2022, we see several articles and official MPD press releases, Moscow police press releases, stating that the case agent, aka lead detective for the Idaho 4 case, is Captain Tyson Barrett.
So at this moment, right? So at this moment, when they having this press release, right? We see Captain Tyson Barrett as the agent for this incident, right? So obviously, he took care of the first 48. Obviously, he was the agent taking care of the first 48. You know, of course, we don't want to put in question what Brett Payne said, that he took over the case. You know, what Tinell said 48 hours after. So you see, if he took over the case after the first 48, that'll still consider Captain Tyson Barrett as the officer detective in charge of the first 48 hours investigation, which are the most important hours of any investigation. And we already agree on that. And we already agree upon that. Let's continue.
He is mentioned in posts dated November 13th and 14th, and then things become a bit unclear, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You want your top detective taking care of this case. It seems that Brett Payne took over this case by December 2022. Right before Bryan Kohberger was arrested. So we need to ask ourselves why. We definitely need to ask ourselves why and how come that he said that he took over this case after the first 48. But it seems that in reality, he took over this case because the first time that he came out as the lead detective, even for the family members, was in December, right before Bryan Kohberger. Right when the charges was filed against Bryan Kohberger, that's when the first time that Brett Payne was shown and made public as the lead detective. Because only until Captain Tyson Barrett was the person that it was known even to the family members, because he was the liaison between the University of Idaho and the family members and Moscow PD. I wonder if Captain Tyson Barrett is the person that he leaked the information to Steve Goncalves. I only wonder if Captain Tyson Barrett was the person that he leaked some information to Steve Goncalves. Let's continue.
But first of all, who was Tyson Barrett? I say was, not because he's gone, but because he is retired as of July 2024. Like
July 2024, he said, I'm gone. July 2024, he said, I'm gone. This case is not going to help my career. What career? It's not going to benefit me in nothing for me to stay around and wait for the resolution of this case. I'm going fishing right now.
many people who were initially involved with the Idaho 4 case, it appears that Captain Barrett was with the MPD since 1995. He wrote.
Yeah, by the way, if I'm not mistaken, this is a Brett Payne first ever criminal murder case. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. This is Brett Payne very first murder investigation.
Rose through the ranks to different positions. He was apparently well-liked, respected, and admired. And it also appears that he was quite close with Chief Fry. I found an older article from the Argonaut that mentions how Barrett said that Fry was his friend and mentor. Now,
If this is why the prosecution don't want to give the discovery to Ann Taylor, if this is the materials and the gag order that the prosecution don't want to give Ann Taylor, where is Captain Tyson Barrett reports about this crime? Where is Captain Tyson Barrett 48-hour report on the Idaho 4 Bryan Kohberger case? Because remember, he was gone when the Bryan Kohberger came all along. When charges were filed, that's when first time we hear of Brett Payne taking over this case. Or he first time he came out as a known lead detective on the Idaho 4, now become Bryan Kohberger case. But when he was just the Idaho 4, Captain Tyson Barrett was the lead detective and the liaison with all three parties. Where is Captain Tyson Barrett 48-hour investigation report? We need that.
In 2016, Barrett actually replaced Fry. Fry became chief, and Barrett took over.
Yeah, we need to start the first 48 Barrett # first 48 Barrett. We need the first 48-hour investigation report from Captain Barrett. That has not, no one even has talked about it until now. It seems that this information is being buried for a reason. Why in court? How come that in court we don't hear about a 48-hour report from Captain Tyson Barrett? Why we don't have Captain Tyson Barrett testifying in court on the motions to compel. How come that in the motions to compel, we don't have a Captain Tyson Barrett report that we need?
His position, which was taking charge of the department's campus division. Now, what this means is that Captain Barrett was actually very involved with, drumroll please,
so it seems that Captain Tyson Barrett was very involved with the University of Idaho. Captain Tyson Barrett, it seems that he was what is called a University of Idaho pleaser, again, equals a Greek community participant, a Greek community member. Bam, bam, boom. And by the time they're going to go after Bryan Kohberger, he said, I'm out. Or they kick him out. It's one or two. Boom chakalaka. Yes, Amy Conway. Big shout out to Lana Marie. Please make sure everyone go and subscribe to Lana Marie. The link is in the chat. Please make sure. I just posted it again. Make sure that y'all go and subscribe to Lana Marie, and please tell her that you heard about her through Jrod on Point. Please and thank you. Very appreciated. Make sure that y'all subscribe, like, and share her content, okay? Because we wouldn't be talking about this without her homework. And we should and we must appreciate. Big shout out to Lana Marie. Keep up the great work. Please make sure everyone go and subscribe.
Return to this, so put a pin in it. But as to Captain Barrett's role in the Idaho 4 case, he was spotted right at the scene in front of the 1122 King.
This is right here, right? If he didn't have nothing to do with this case, right? Obviously, he was present in the crime scene with worry face and making phone calls. So it seems that he's getting information. It seems that he's getting live information at the moment of this call. And he's right in front the crime scene. We a sergeant.
Road House on November 13th, 2022. And then, still as the lead detective, it appears that he was giving out a couple of statements to various news outlets about the King Road crime.
And this is way after. And he giving statements as the lead detective.
It wasn't much because, of course, in the beginning they just had the very limited information, but he is quoted in a couple of those articles that were covering the case in those early days of the investigation. So when does Brett Payne enter the picture and why? Well, we can speculate about the why. I wasn't able to find a definitive answer for why there was a change regarding the case agent. One rumor that I found, and I emphasize this is a rumor only, is that allegedly Captain Barrett had a child at the University of Idaho, but then there's also the fact that, as I mentioned before, he was very involved with the university because of his position. He was involved with the U of I's football team.
This is what I'm trying to tell you. He was so involved. He was so involved within the university that you could bet he knew everyone. Especially being such a high-rank officer and being a liaison between the University of Idaho and Moscow PD, You know for damn sure that in the first 48 hours, he probably already knew who was those killers. You are not going to tell me that not one person, you are not, it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe that not one student, not one staff member, no one, not one family member, no one. It's hard to believe that no one within close pointed at the obvious suspects. We already know who's the obvious suspects, the same people that got cleared by Moscow PD. Yeah, they don't have no alibi that he could use. They don't have an alibi that he could use in the court of law, and Moscow PD knows that. By the Idaho Code of Alibis, Jack DeCour do not have an alibi to stand for, and first and foremost, if he was not looking to as a suspect, which he got clear, he by himself got clear right after everyone else got clear. Everyone else got clear. They were still looking into Jack DeCour. But then you give Jack DeCour an alibi that you know for a fact it cannot be used in the court of law, but for effect of the new media's outlet, for effect of the news media outlets, and for effect the family members. We got all told that they clear Jack DeCour. We an alibi. They can't even be used in the court of law for a fact. And now you ask me which one is Brad? What was Jack DeCour? What's Jack DeCour alibi that they cannot use in the court of law? Jack DeCour's alibi is from a friend. From a friend, peer, co-student, co-member of fraternity, which yet they both only show the loyalty and secrecy. And it's the same alibi that it can even be used, cannot even be used in the court of law under the Idaho rule of alibis. No one that is a friend of yours, no one that is attached and close to you, family member, neighbor that is close to you, that is proven that is close to you, friend that is close to you, especially if it's a fraternity member from the same fraternity, you cannot in the code of law and the code of alibis in Idaho, it cannot be used on his favor. They still clear him. But then now you tell me that Bryan Kohberger alibi is a stupid alibi when he actually has a side ray that is actually useful in court as an alibi because they're using it, right? Bill tried to strike his alibi and the judge said no. Bill Thompson was trying in court to strike Bryan Kohberger alibi. The judge said no because it's a good enough alibi to be used in court and he has an expert to back him up into it. Jack DeCour don't not even have that. Jack DeCour don't even have an alibi that he could use in the court of law. But we have a Maury creating a cash report that he's not even licensed to do so, that he's not even certified to do so, because he got his certification August, the fall of that year 2023. The indictment came out May. He did the indictment in May. He did the cash report in May when he's not even certified for that shit. Huh? Now tell me that these cases don't have holes? Why we don't have more content creators talking about what's really going on with this case? Because meanwhile, everybody's trying to tell you about stupid ass theories and shit. Why we don't talk about the reality of this case? Because that's what we do here. In reality, I do not care. I do not give a fuck about whoever don't like me in the YouTube true crime community. Don't care. Because I know that what I do here is looking forward for justice. This is all I do here. I'm looking for justice for Kiely, Rodni. I'm looking for justice for the Idaho 4. We do not care about the Bryan Kohberger situation, but obviously it seems like that he's a victim. So we do care about victims. So yeah, we really don't care about a Bryan Kohberger, but like it seems that he's becoming a victim of the Idaho 4. We have to speak for victims here. Because obviously they don't have a voice. And obviously at this day today, Bryan Kohberger don't have a voice out here. When it seems that he's another victim of the Idaho 4. Willingly or plan it or against his will, but he's in the pickle right now. And the only thing that the University of Idaho needed, it was a warm body to lock up, to make sure that y'all have this one body locked up before the Christmas break is over, to make sure that all those students come back with all that money to Moscow, Idaho. You didn't care if you had the right guy because you already killed Berrett. You already committed a murder, killing Kopaka, because you was desperate to get a body. Desperate and in the look for a warm body, you end up having a cold body with Berrett Kopaka. You kill that man. You kill that veteran. You kill that Purple Heart military holder. Because you was desperate to get a body to arrest and then say, oh, he's our suspect for the Idaho 4. And guess what? Kopaka knew if he get arrested that day, he knew that he was about to be the Idaho 4 killer. Even though he wasn't. He already knew. I believe that that's why he didn't cooperate. And I believe that's why when they saw that he didn't cooperate because he's melted, now they see, okay, he know a little too much, and okay, I get it. We need to kill him. Because if you didn't arrest them to utilize him for to cover this crime, because every single narrative that y'all talk about Bryan Kohberger, it fits to Kopaka better than what it fits Kohberger. Everything y'all said about Bryan Kohberger, it fits to Kopaka better than to Kohberger. But you killed Kopaka already, so you can't use him. Second option, Kohberger. We all the similarities. Easy fall guy to replace. Let's get him. I don't care how you do it, just fucking do it. And they committed more crimes to try to cover a crime, all because they got motherfucking money. To make sure the University of Idaho and the culture and their cult doesn't go down. Which is sickening to my stomach to know that. Let's continue. Big shout out to Lana Marie. Make sure everyone subscribe.
Was on the Vandal Care Committee, working closely with the Dean of Students' office at the university, and we also know who the dean is, or was at the time at least, Blaine Eccles, who was also present and spoke at those first press conferences that the police gave regarding the case. So yeah, maybe it was due to all these reasons combined that they decided that Captain Barrett is maybe not the right guy to work on this case after all. Maybe it was a conflict of interest because of his involvement with the university.
So to clear the conflict of interest between Moscow PD and if the conflict of interest of if the conflict of interest between Captain Tyson Barrett and the case, if you ask me, the conflict of interest is having Moscow PD investigating themselves. Why I said that Moscow PD is investigating themselves? Because Moscow PD, the majority, if not everyone that is inside of the headquarters of Moscow PD are all vandals. They have a vandal flag in the headquarters. They have vandal merch in the headquarters. You know where's the conflict of interest? Having Moscow PD investigating their goddamn selves. That's the problem. So it's no conflict of interest of having a one particular member of the force as the main investigator. The conflict of interest is having the whole force in this case. The problem, the conflict of interest, is having Moscow PD investigating a case that they didn't do no fucking work because he seen the FBI did everything and put it on their mouth for them to fucking chew it, swallow, and digest it and poop it for them. How can Brett Payne be the lead investigator when the FBI is telling him everything to fucking do? Because when he get asked in court, it like how you did it? He get asked in court how you did you sign the did you sign the warrants and all this stuff? So how did you sign the warrants with not knowing nothing? Oh, believe me, I have more experience and more smart people than me for me to do my job. So let's say if they were wrong, you don't know they wrong, and you don't know what the fuck they doing, but you only doing what they tell you to do. It don't matter if they right or wrong. They're only using you to push everything, to push the paperwork, push the warrants. Because if something go wrong with this, guess who's gonna get locked up, you stupid motherfucker? You, Brett Payne. You be the one locked up. Murray be the one locked up. You know why? Because the FBI will not get locked up, you stupid son of a bitch. You know why? Because the FBI already told you, do not use the IgG by motherfucking self. You had to cheat and go around and gag order. So like that, they don't know that you have Bryan Kohberger's cell phone information way before anything. And the only reason why you focus on Bryan Kohberger was because you killed Kopaka, and your very last option, it was the obvious because you already had his cell phone number. I wish people was a little bit more serious about this case. Because believe me, I know. I get a lot of hate in the true crime community. You know why? First and foremost, because I'm not white. I'm Puerto Rican. I gotta pull out the race card. The majority of true crime viewership is white. I get it. But you know what I do and what I got the other content creators don't do and don't got is that I actually give a fuck. That I actually put my life in danger to actually get to the information. And actually, while I'm sharing the information with you, I could give no fucks to put my life in danger and telling you what's going on here. Because you know what? I know how to protect myself and how to protect my family by my goddamn self. And I'm not scared of shit. Oh, Tinel, I'm white too. I'm white. I'm fully white. I'm fully white. I'm more white than white people. I have a redneck. That's how white I am. I have a redneck. That's how white I am. Okay? That's why it bothers me when people act racist when they don't have to. It just you hear how I talk and you just don't like that. So guess what? Who gives a fuck? Because at the end of the day, what I do here for y'all, the true crime community, guess what? Even though y'all reject me, but I promise you that one day y'all all gonna love me. That's a promise. Why? Because I'm consistent. I'm the same guy that you met 3 years ago and I have not changed. Moderators, subscribers that been here since the first channel could tell you, yeah, Jrod is that guy. He's the same guy. He don't change. And he'll tell you what the fuck it is, you like it or not. The only thing that we do here is trying to get justice for the victims, you like it or not. That's my main focus in this channel. I want to get to justice, at least having a conversation about it, at least somehow sharing my information with law enforcement, the people that are taking care of the case that I'm talking about. That's what we do here. I get involved. I said it when I first started in the true crime niche. I said it. I wanna be part of the true crime community because I see that other content creators do not speak details of these cases. These either they don't care, they don't care enough to even pay attention, or they literally mental to a point and they lost their values, their morals to a point that they don't care what they tell you, as long as they get the clicks, as long as they get the likes, as long as they get the donations. They don't care what they tell you. They only have you there for you to fucking be there and please you inner stupidity, because that's all what it is. All those content creators that are not speaking the right things, all those content creators that literally are guilters that at these day today, y'all already know how I feel about y'all. Y'all already know how I feel about the guilters. Because if at this day today, after all these details are out, you don't see that it's a big major problem with this case, and it all comes from the state. I don't know which case you've been paying attention to. And I believe this is what we do here. This is what I do here. Somehow try to present to you in a way that it probably make more sense than what these other content creators bring it to you. I'm just an option in the true crime community. I'm just an option. Hopefully, I'm the best option for you. Okay. And again, it bothers me pulling the car, the race car out and stuff like that. It does bother me because I don't want to pull it out. But when you find yourself speaking more important stuff, when you find yourself being more relevant than other content creators out there, then you have to put in question what's the reasons of that. What's the reasons of the hate? Because there's no reason for that. Yeah, you might hate me because I tell you the truth about your favorite content creator. I tell you how I feel, my thoughts, which it makes sense to me. It should make sense to you. So when you see there is no reason for no one in the true crime community to have hate for me, because the only thing that I do here is in benefit and pro victims. Because again, just because I do not give a fuck about your feelings, that don't mean that I don't care about the victims. That just means that I don't care about your feelings, point blank, period. Fuck it, listen, tough shit. Get some balls, even if you're a female. Get some tough skin. And just because I say what I say about your favorite content creator don't mean that what I'm saying here is not suitable for you. That don't mean that. That just means that I might don't like your favorite content creator, but I'm still here for the victims. Everything here is focused and surround the victims. You don't see me here making songs about a criminal fucking case like other content creators do. Yeah, I'm artistic. I rap. I could make a whole album about the Idaho 4. Do you see me doing so? No. I'm a CEO on my own label. What are you talking about? I have the power to make a record label right now and make a whole album if I want to. But what that does to this case, me making a whole album about the Idaho 4, how the fuck I'm gonna help the Idaho 4? How the fuck I'm gonna help the victims with me making songs about a fucking case? Are you serious? Are you serious? If you ask me, that just people that is here for the wrong reasons. You're not here for the case. You're here for you. You're here for you to showcase your talent and not here really for the victims or the importance of the case. Because you utilize the Idaho 4 to showcase your talent as an artist. Do you understand that? So then now that's when you got to take in consideration the content creator that you're paying attention to and you support. Because then that just tells me what you're here for. That just tell me for what the viewership is here for. Are you in the true crime community to help a case or to help yourself? Because I'm here to help a case what I'm helping my motherfucking self. But I'm damn sure helping the motherfucking case, telling y'all the shit that other people don't even want to tell you. Because they're either stupid or they just don't care. Let's continue. Big shout out to the chat. Chat, talk to me.
Perhaps even he himself asked that someone else take over as the lead detective. Which is unfortunate because Captain Barrett had 25 years of experience with the MPD at the time in 2022, whereas Brett Payne, who took over, he had only 5 years of experience. This is not to imply that 5 years is nothing, but you would think that they would want someone with as much experience as possible to handle a case such as this one.
Listen, in a case like this, that is the biggest case in the docket, you want your best detective. In a case like this, you want your best detective with the most experience, with the best connections, especially the connections with the community, which it seemed that Captain Tyson Barrett was well connected, and it was easy information coming to him because his connection with the community. That's the guy that you want investigating this. The one that people have the trust to tell him the truth. And hopefully he will act upon it. That's the guy that you want in, Captain Tyson Barrett, that he has the trust of the community, because the years on the force in that community, that's the guy that you want in the investigation. The guy with the most experience. But how comes the biggest case in the docket, but we have the less experienced detective of all, in this case, Brett Payne? And can y'all see this? This is a great picture. Look at those shares. I want you to take a look at, because people don't want to talk about this. Can y'all see those shares?
Which is...
Do you see those shares right here? Do y'all see those shares right there? Do you see those shares in that position in the floor? That's in the only way that back door shut. That's in the only way that back door locks. Big shout out to Kiely. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Yes, Amy Conway. This is what I've been telling people for a long time. You see these shares right here? That back door did not have a lock. That back door, in the only way that it locked, it was putting these shares in the floor. So then now you tell me, after you tucked in to go to sleep, you know that you have these shares put in place. So that way, that back door will not open by itself, or no one would open that door. Do y'all see these shares right here? What that tell you? If the killers weren't already inside the house, that means that someone, most likely the person on that second floor, or most likely the person with a room in that second floor next to the kitchen, it will be the person to open the back door if it's needed. So that'll tell you that they rather to call Dylan Mortensen to open the back door than anyone else. So why no one is talking about this? Because if they say, like they say, that it was no one in the house, only the victims and the roommates, right? That means this back door was locked. That means these shares were on the floor. So now I ask you, who you think they call to make sure those shares are not behind the door? Bethany or Dylan? Bethany has a room in the first floor basement, down here, but at the other side. Who has the closest room towards the back door? Dylan Mortensen has some explaining to do. You know why? Because the killers could have never got inside of the house unless she let them in. And for you to let the killers in, that means that you, Dylan Mortensen, know the killers. Whoever opened the back door, allow the killers in. Because this back door could not be open if those shares are not in the floor. If those shares are in the floor, in this position, this back door will never open. So that means that if the killers were not already in the home because a party, right? Because if it was a party in the house, obviously this back door is going to be open and they don't need no one to open the door for them, right? That's in the case of a party of a meeting and the killers being in that party or that meeting already. But if it's like they say that everyone was tucked in their rooms, and the only way the killer could have got in is if someone opens the door from inside. Dylan has some explaining to do. Let's continue.
One of the most horrific cases to shake the community in decades. So what could be the reason why Payne was assigned to this case? To try and find the answer to that, I checked the MPD annual reports from 2022 and 2023. Now, in the report for 2022, we find something rather interesting. It seems that Corporal Payne taking over as the lead detective in this case was part of a restructuring of this division, MPD's service.
I want you to pay attention to what Lana is saying here. Big shout out to Lana Marie.
And 2023. Now, in the report for 2022, we find something rather interesting. It seems that Corporal Payne taking over as the lead detective in this case was part of a restructuring of this division, MPD.
What a coincidence, you're trying to restructure MPD in the middle of your biggest investigation.
Services Division program. Now, as the article states, this restructuring created another avenue for corporals to gain experience in supervising and detective work. Okay, according to this article, Detective Sergeant Lawrence retired in December 2022, and that's when Payne became Detective Corporal. December 2022. But can we find a more precise date?
I hope y'all heard that, right? I hope y'all heard that loud and clear. I hope y'all heard that loud and clear. I'm going to replay that.
Rather interesting. It seems that Corporal Payne taking over as the lead detective in this case was part of a restructuring of this division, MPD's Services Division program. Now, as the article states, this restructuring created another avenue for corporals to gain experience in supervising and detective work. Okay, according to this article, Detective Sergeant Lawrence retired in December 2022, and that's when Payne became Detective Corporal. December 2022. But can we find a more precise date for when?
December 2022. And that was when he was known to the families as the lead investigator when charges against Bryan Kohberger were brought up. The Captain Tyson Barrett, I'ma give y'all something to take home with. The Captain Tyson Barrett had anything to do with the death of Kopaka. I repeat, the Captain Tyson Barrett had anything to do with the death of Kopaka. I want to give you that. I want to give you that for y'all to take home with y'all and think about it and figure that shit out, because I already kind of like got it all figured it out. But I want you to take a little Easter egg. If one of the reasons why he got out the case is because what happened to Kopaka, I wonder.
Payne replaced Barrett. Let's see when Payne's name first appeared in the media in connection with the 1122 King Road crime. I came across an article in the Idaho Statesman where, to the best of my research, Brett Payne is first mentioned as someone working on this case. And the article is dated December 3rd, 2022. This is when it was
December 3. December 3, 2022 is the first time that Brett Payne is known as the lead detective. We need Captain Tyson Barrett report all the way until he was out the case. We need Captain Tyson Barrett, Idaho full report all the way into where the 48 hours and all the way until Brett Payne took over this case. We need Captain Tyson Barrett reports. Why that's not on Discovery? Why that's not even talked about in court?
Edited, so we don't know when it was published originally, and we don't know what exactly the edits were, but that's the date that we have. It tells us that Brett Payne was one of the 5 additional officers assigned to work on this case. But of course, when exactly he got assigned to this case is not clear. It could simply be that this is the date when the public first learned about some names connected to the case. Because of course we do know from Payne's affidavit that he was at the crime scene on November 13th already. But at that point, he most likely wasn't yet the lead detective. It is perhaps a bit strange that Payne isn't, labeled as the lead detective on this case in the article, but again, we can attribute this to the fact that perhaps this information wasn't available to the public at the time. Now, let's also check this Daily Mail article. Here, they quote Shannon Gray, the attorney for the Gonzalez family, who stated that when we went into the meeting on Monday, Brett Payne is the individual who identified himself as the lead investigator on the Moscow Police Department who is on the case.
So that only tell me when Brett Payne announced himself as the lead detective, all the way to that point, they believe that Captain Tyson Barrett was the lead investigator the whole time. All the way until the family members found that out later on December. So all the way up to December, Captain Tyson Barrett was the person, a liaison between the families, the school, and Moscow PD. What happened?
This article was published on December 20th, 2022, which was a Tuesday, so we can assume that Monday was most likely the day before, right? So December 19th. Now, who remembers what else happened on December 19th, 2022? That's when MPD allegedly first heard Bryan Kohberger's name. They received it.
So what a coincidence, the first time that is announced the name Bryan Kohberger is the same day that Brett Payne take over this case. What a coincidence. So the Captain Tyson Barrett wanted out. The Captain Tyson Barrett wanted out. Or the Moscow PD kicked Captain Tyson Barrett off the case because they were going after Bryan Kohberger and not the people that he wanted it to go after. Comment down below.
From the FBI as a tip only, as we know. Now, based on all this, albeit limited information, one could conclude that perhaps Brett Payne became the case agent for the Idaho 4 case sometime between December 3rd and December 20th, or rather 19th. But he did not. I saved the when Brett Payne became the case agent for last, because actually we do have the exact date from Brett Payne's own mouth. In his testimony from January 2025, Brett Payne said, "I was assigned lead detective after about 24 hours in that case." Now, of course, there is no reason to doubt his statement. I am by no means trying to refute it, but I think it might be worth discussing a couple of these discrepancies that we come across in connection to this date. For example, some news articles kept reporting that Tyson Barrett was the case agent for pretty much the rest of November, but this is easily explained. They likely had outdated information because Moscow PD didn't update their reports or their press releases. But why didn't they? What's curious is that Tyson Barrett is indeed listed as the case agent in the official press releases from Moscow PD for November 13th and 14th, and then afterwards, after the 14th, the name of the case agent just disappears. It doesn't get replaced. It doesn't say that someone else is now the case agent. That information just gets completely...
So that means that at some point they decided to put the press releases without putting the lead detective name on the paperwork, but then they put Captain Dallinger, which is the one of the person that I spoke with at some point. Big shout out. So it's like, hold on. At some point, they decided to keep everything on a hush hush. Like, hold on, we are not gonna put the name of the lead investigator and the rest of the paperwork right after they decided to not go after the students of the University of Idaho, because now they're working on something behind closed doors. And at that moment, Captain Tyson Barrett probably did not want nothing to do with what Moscow PD was doing with the FBI, because probably he knew who was the real killer, which is the outer suspects already still in court. Because for those that don't know, the outer suspect paperwork under the rule of law is already filed in court, and Taylor would not file those paperworks without any proof. When Ann Taylor filled that paperwork and certify and stamp it in court, that means there is enough proof that she have of these outer suspects. She wouldn't waste her time putting outer suspects that she don't know if the court gonna even accept it, because she know the case law. She know the case law that is governing the outer suspects. So that means that she's bound to a case law equal as she would not fill up outer suspects in court or the motion of outer suspects without having enough proof that is substantial under that case law and is already filled in court. We need to pay attention to what's going on with this case.
It's no longer in the press releases. They simply remove it from the MPD updates. The only contacts that remain are Chief Fry, the tip line, and there's Anthony Dallinger, who is the contact for the press. All right, so if Captain Barrett was no longer the lead detective on this case, one could perhaps assume, okay, so if there was a conflict of interest, he was most likely assigned to a different case, which is not the case, actually.
But here's the problem. If he was any type, big shout out to Kane. Thank you for being here, brother. Very appreciate it. If he was any type, if he was any type of conflict of interest, it was with Moscow PD investigating this case, not with a particular individual within Moscow PD. That has to do with the whole Moscow PD investigating this one particular case. That's the conflict of interest.
It appears that he did continue to work on the Idaho 4 homicides case, just in a slightly different capacity. And curiously enough, he received a so-called Champs Award, and let's see what this was for.
We're having a commercial. We're having a commercial. 1 second, please. Commercials. 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 1 second, please. Commercials. Commercials. 1 second, please.
A liaison between Captain Tyson Barrett continued to work on the Idaho 4 homicides case, just in a slightly different capacity. And curiously enough, he received a so-called Champs Award, and let's see what this was for. Captain Tyson Barrett received an award for being a liaison between the Moscow Police Department, the families of the victims of the Idaho 4 case, and the university.
So this guy received a Champs Award. Big shout out to Kane. Thank you for being here, brother. Very appreciate it. So Captain Tyson Barrett, the first lead investigator in the Idaho 4 Bryan Kohberger case. Captain Tyson Barrett, after he was taken out of the case, he received a Champs Award for being the liaison between the University of Idaho, Moscow PD, and the family. So my questions that I'm going to put in the chat for y'all to listen to. This is the question that I want you to give me the answers. I'm gonna give you a question, right? Very quick. And I think this is important for the case. And I think I mentioned something earlier. The question from earlier was if Captain Tyson Barrett, the person that the parents of the victims of the University of Idaho thought that he was the lead investigator all the way into December, is Captain Tyson Barrett the one that gave Steve Goncalves the information that he know? Is Captain Tyson Barrett the responsible of having the Goncalves family thinking and talking in a way they've been thinking and talking the whole time? And it's because Captain Tyson Barrett? I go a little further than that. If Captain Tyson Barrett is the leaker, is it Captain Tyson Barrett the person that is going to be in trouble for the leaks in the Idaho 4? If anyone gonna get any time in jail, if anyone is gonna get any time in jail from the law enforcement and prosecution, if anyone is gonna do time for the leaks in this case, is it Captain Tyson Barrett the leaker? Is it that the reason why they got him off the case? Because he give the families too much information that they were not supposed to have. That's the reason why Captain Tyson Barrett is off the case. Is Captain Tyson Barrett the leaker? Is it Captain Tyson Barrett the person they give the Goncalves family the information that they talked about and share in news media outlets? Is Captain Tyson Barrett the leak to legacy media? If Captain Tyson Barrett the leaker between the legacy media, between Dateline, between Court TV, between News Nation, is the Captain Tyson Barrett the leaker? Is he the person that is going to be found in trouble by Stephen Hippler? We need to talk about this. What was the reason why Captain Tyson Barrett was not in charge of the Idaho Fall Bryan Kohberger case when he was a more experienced detective with more contacts, with more resources? Yeah, I haven't seen Heather today though. Big shout out to Heather. She might be taking a nap. Is Captain Tyson Barrett the leaker? That's a question for y'all to answer in the comment and in the chat. Some of y'all already answered that it's a possibility. But big shout out to Lana Marie. Make sure that everyone go and subscribe to Lana Marie. She's a great content creator. Make sure that everyone go and pay a visit to her. We wouldn't be talking about these details if she wouldn't done the homework. And we're only here because Lana Marie put the work. Kane says she's watching. Big shout out to Heather. Top secret reasons. Twist is watching. Big shout out. Big shout out to Heather Fitzgerald. Big shout out to Twist. Legendary figures in the true crime community. Please make sure everyone go and subscribe to Lana Marie. Very appreciated. Let's continue.
Quote, he interfaced with the four families daily and provided authorized information about the investigation. During his many conversations with them and the...
Listen to this. And he provided official information to the families.
University. Quote, he interfaced with the four families daily and provided authorized information about the investigation. During his many conversations with them, Captain Barrett was compassionate and professional without compromising the integrity of the investigation. And we spot him on December 7th when he was helping to take out the furniture from the house. So he did still work on the case. What's curious is that based on that quote from the day.
So in other words, we could see very clear here that Captain Tyson Barrett helped Moscow PD to get rid of evidence from inside of the house, because everything inside of this house at this moment, it should be considered evidence. This house was supposed to be froze in time with everything and anything inside the house all the way into the dead end of this case. This house was supposed to be froze in time with everything and anything that it was there when the crime occurred all the way to the end of the case. And only then they could have whatever was inside of the house after years and years and years, but not only until then. So we could see Captain Tyson Barrett helping Moscow PD in the operation to get rid of evidence in the Idaho 4 case, because this house was supposed to be froze in time all the way until the end of this case. We could see Moscow PD, and this is the proof. The Moscow PD and Captain Tyson Barrett was getting rid of Idaho, not getting rid of, but giving back evidence to the families, packing everything inside of the house and giving everything back to the rightful owners. Why? Why? Can't sub up to Lana, but we see very clear Moscow PD and the lead detective at that moment, Captain Tyson Barrett, getting rid of or giving back evidence to the rightful owners. Because this house and everything in it was supposed to be frozen time all the way to the end of this case. But Moscow PD is helping the killers in this particular moment, is helping the killers, which are the students of the University of Idaho, to get rid of evidence and disturb a criminal scene, a murder scene. And I repeat, everything was supposed to be frozen in time in case the jury needed to do a follow walkthrough. And obviously they would have not stepped on blood, because obviously they would have seen that it was clean between rooms. The jury would have known right away that he was cleaning in the house, and that's why they took the house down. Because they didn't want the jury to see that, to see like why the floor is clean between rooms, why the floor is clean between rooms, and there's no blood trail, it's no bloody footprints, it's not a mess like O.J. Simpson's case. That's why. Because they knew no jury would have give a guilty to no one when they see the crime scene was clean and clean between rooms. How can the investigators know anything when the crime scene was disturbed? How can they take any conclusions? How can we see Moscow PD in this picture tampering with evidence, tampering with a crime scene early and with no permission, no legal permission? They doing this because they could. And they knew Bill Thompson and the prosecution, nor the University of Idaho, nor the victims would say a fucking thing, because obviously they don't even know that this is happening. By the time they get to know that this is happening, by the time they get to know that the victims were burned into ashes, it's already too late. It's nothing that no one could fucking do. Because people forget that the victims got cremated without the permission of the family members. Y'all forget that? I forgot about that. All right.
To take out the furniture from the house. So he did still work on the case. What's curious is that based on that quote from the Daily Mail article, it gives the impression that not even the victims' families knew who the lead detective was. Payne identified himself as the lead investigator, it says. The way it's phrased, it suggests that the families, or at least the Gonzalez's, since this is Shannon Gray speaking for them, didn't really know who the lead detective was up until December 20th. And then the whole thing about restructuring at the service unit department at MPD, making Payne detective corporal officially in December 2022, but it seems that practically speaking, he already took over some responsibilities as early as November. When we look at all of this, it sort of becomes a little bit more clear why perhaps there are all these what seems to be chain of custody issues, and why Brett Payne didn't really seem to know where exactly certain evidence is, or who's in charge of it, or who took care of certain pieces of evidence.
So the reason, in other words, the reason why Brett Payne is so lost in court, not knowing what to say and pointing fingers at everyone but himself, is because he was not the lead investigator from the beginning. He became the lead investigator when Bryan Kohberger was about to get brought up into charges. That's just self-explanatory right there.
Which we know from May 2024, when he was questioned by Ann Taylor and he gave his testimony.
I was assigned as the case agent for Moscow PD for that investigation.
Does case agent mean you're the person in charge?
Yes, ma'am.
Was there videos that were collected, like a video canvas done of the community?
Yes, ma'am, there was.
So the digital forensics office would be the responsible entity to receive these pieces of video surveillance, is that right?
Yes, ma'am. I would say it was a dropping off point for those cases, yes.
And who is that person?
That was a joint effort between Detective Mallory and several people within the FBI.
Which people within the FBI?
I do not remember.
Detective Payne, I'm asking because last week, Detective Mallory told us that he wasn't in charge of these videos. And I need to know what they are.
And that's another thing. The reason why we have a Maury coming to testify in court, because they had to make I don't know if y'all remember, they had to make a special hearing just for Maury, because Maury could not be in this one particular hearing of compel that they were bringing Brett Payne. It was so convenient that Maury has something to do the same day that this hearing was occurring, that they had to make a particular hearing just for Maury, because I know for a fact prosecution did not want Maury and Payne in the same fucking room, because if Maury says something that doesn't make sense, they bring Payne to the stand, and if Payne says something that doesn't make sense, they bring Maury on the stand. And they both would have looked stupid. This is the reason why they did that special hearing just with Maury, because they did not want Maury and Payne in the same court hearing, because Ann Taylor would have mangled both. That's why.
As the case manager or lead detective, are you familiar with the reports from other officers that may have talked about turning in videos?
Some of them, certainly not all of them.
Am I correct in believing that the Red Star surveillance video was collected and given to Moscow Police Department?
It reads that way, yes, ma'am.
Where is it?
I do not know.
So I need to go to the evidence custodian and ask him to bring all of the videos out so I can watch them all to see if that one exists.
Yes, ma'am.
If I tell you I don't have a timing advance report or any from the other phone companies, where do I look for them?
I would direct you back to the prosecutor's office. Everything that Moscow PD received, in that realm, we have turned over to my knowledge.
But you know you've seen this report, is that right?
I do not recall if I've seen the timing advance reports. I'd have to see what it even looked like to know if I've seen it.
How come that Brett Payne and Maury do not recall nor remember a fucking thing about this case? The biggest case that they have ever handled. The biggest case in the docket, not Maury nor Payne, remember, was convenient for them.
Do you know what it is?
Not particularly. I'm no expert.
Okay. You wrote this search warrant though, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, how did you get the language for that if you don't know what this is?
So there's no secret that I rely heavily on people who are very highly educated in these topic areas to write the search warrant. So that language was.
So in other words, he did what he was told. In other words, he did what he was told, because now he pointing at the FBI and he said that, well, I did it because the FBI told me to do so.
Likely conveyed to me through people who know much more than myself about cell phone data.
Are you aware that AT&T didn't provide timing advance records in December of 2022?
I do not remember.
Do you have timing advance records now from May of 2023?
I would have to direct you to Detective Mallory to answer that question. Don't know.
Okay. Did you write a new warrant for them in May of 2023?
I do not recall.
It seemed that I understand there's a lot of information. He can't keep it all in his head and know it off the top of his head. But when we look at how the case was handled, when we consider all this information that I just talked about, it kind of becomes, the pieces start to fall into place. Those first 24 hours of this case seemed to be crucial for many reasons. One that stands out to me the most is that within hours of the investigation, the Moscow Police Department already seemed to be fairly certain that there is no ongoing threat to the rest of the community.
And if you ask me, for Moscow PD have this press release, there is no danger for the community. Back then, in November 14, the day after, they had to know something the day after. They knew right away that this was a concealed, passionate murder. This was a insulated, passionate crime. And they also tell the community there is no danger to the community. When few days later on TV, we have Chief Fry telling the community, well, we're not sure if you are safe out there right now. And that's after they put this press release, there is no dangers for the community. But few days later, Chief Fry cannot guarantee anyone's safety. Now you make that make sense. Now you go and make that make sense.
Stated that they don't believe there is an ongoing community risk. In my opinion, for them to put out this statement, something had to have clicked. Not that they magically knew everything, who did what and what exactly happened, but something vital must have become apparent within those first few hours of the investigation. So
that means that they knew enough. That means that they knew enough for them to say that. But the problem here is after they put that on black and white, then we have Chief Fry on TV telling you the opposite of that what paper said. Then right after we have Chief Fry saying, well, I cannot guarantee you your safety. But you saying that right after you already put the press release that is that you shouldn't have no worry. Everyone should be safe. Big shout out to Lucy. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Big shout out to Heather. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. We miss you. Please play it back so you could catch up. Hopefully you've been paying attention. We're talking about Captain Tyson Barrett was the lead detective all the way to December. Because then in December 3rd, then Brett Payne was known to the family members as the lead detective after he introduced himself. Big shout out to Lucy. Thank you so much for being here. Very appreciate it.
the change of the lead detective might explain why certain things so far to the public might appear that not everything was handled quite as well as it could be. Now, as I said, this might just be because we, the public, don't have all the information and all the details yet, but my sincere hope is that at the trial, things clear up and everything becomes, everything falls into place. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Even though this one was pretty speculative, which is not how I typically like to roll, but I thought this topic.
Big shout out. Big shout out to Lana Marie. Make sure that everyone go and subscribe to her. That was some great work That was some great work. You know what though? I'm gonna share the link. I'm gonna share the link. If anyone wanna come and talk about that, anyone wanna give me your 2 cents about it, anyone wanna share your common sense about it, here's your opportunity. I'm gonna pin it on top. Big shout out to everyone watching this. Jrod on point. Thank you so much for everyone to be here. After we have had this presentation, here's the time and the opportunity. If anyone want to come up and have any conversation about it, here's your opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to understand, okay? What do you think about this Spotify as though you happened in August 2023? Do you think the leak happened after this or before this? But you see, this is exactly what we was talking about. We was talking about is the Captain Tyson Barrett, due to that he was the liaison. He won that Champs Award for being the liaison between Moscow PD, the University of Idaho, and the families. That means this man knew a lot. He had all the information available. So is Captain Tyson Barrett the liquor? Is it him the person that he give whatever the Goncalves family knows, or whatever the Goncalves family have? Is it Captain Tyson Barrett the liquor between the legacy media, between news media outlets, Dateline? Is Captain Tyson Barrett not in this case no more because leaks? Or is it Captain Barrett not longer in this case because he needed someone else and he was not willing to put his name or career on the fuckery with Bryan Kohberger? Because again, you being the lead investigator, if you like, let's make that clear. Any detective will get a big major name and fame out of this case. So did Captain Tyson Barrett quit the case, or Moscow PD kicked them off the case? Let's see if we get answer of those questions, because it seems there is a that he was the one in charge of the 48-hour investigation. Where is the 48-hour report from Captain Tyson Barrett? And I'll go further than that. Why we don't have the name Captain Tyson Barrett in court? Why no one, not even Ann Taylor, is talking about that I need Captain Tyson Barrett report on my desk ASAP? Because again, I totally understand what Lucy said. I understand that. But in this video that we have shown, in this video that we just showcased with Lana Marie brought receipts. I totally understand that. You know, we're with you, Lucy. We love you. But Lana Marie showed receipts. Saying that they got to know that Brett Payne was the lead investigator when he introduced himself to them in December. So we need to pay attention to those things, especially when the content creator brings receipts, which is great for conversation purposes. It's great for content. It's great for what we do here in the true crime community. Hopefully everyone having a beautiful, 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 amazing morning, beautiful, amazing weekend. I got to say thank you, everyone, for being here. Quite a few hours. I appreciate that. All those that being here from the very top. Big shout out to Amy Conway. Big shout out to Lucy. Big shout out to Kane, Disperch, my guy, very appreciated. Big shout out to Twizzle. Big shout out to Betty. Thank you so much, very appreciated. That's all right there. Questions for everyone to take with y'all. And have a little something else to talk about. You know what I mean? I think this is just little itty bitties of nuggets just for us to think about. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully we get some homework from more members of the community. Hopefully more members of the community could talk about what's actually going on with that transition and change a lead detective or whatnot. I definitely really want to know why the name Captain Tyson Barrett has not been mentioned in court on no type of discovery. I want to know why Ann Taylor has not brought up the name Captain Tyson Barrett on any of the motions of discovery to compel or to compel discovery. I wonder why we have a Brett Payne testifying in court, but we don't have the very first lead investigator that took care of the first 48 hours of this case. I believe that that's something there to talk about. Big shout out to everyone that was here in the chat. Please make sure you take the advice of Amy Conway and please put some DNA on that like button. I appreciate all of y'all for being here today. My name is Jrod on Point. Listen, I'm your favorite brother, your mother's favorite son, the black sheep. Listen, believe in yourself because I believe in you. If I did it, you could do it too. I ain't nothing special. I believe that you're going to take the best decisions in your life for yourself and for everyone around you. Love yourself. Take care of yourself so you'll be able to love and take care of others. We're going to see y'all soon, probably tomorrow. I don't know. I'm going to try to figure it out, but I appreciate y'all. Thank you for being here. Keep the conversation going. And please make sure to click like, subscribe, and share the content. All right. Thank you for all your donations, the Cash App, the On Point family. And as always, much love. Big shout out to Lana Marie for all the homework. And I'm going to see y'all soon.